just kind of start talking. And then... Well, we
Just be really dumb.
we do. That's not wrong. We do like we'll kind of do our intro after we get into it, in a formal welcome, but we kind of just
Formal welcome.
yeah.
You just said it was chill and now it's
Formal.
Yeah.
Well, a formal welcome as in like introducing you and
Yeah,
everything like
okay.
that is what I mean.
What's your last name?
Bets.
Betts. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right.
Bet, dude.
Bet. Doggy.
Yeah, we should probably pour though.
Yeah, we should.
That's a
Pour it up.
good thing.
Daily driver. Man.
Did you say that into the microphone?
Daily driver.
Yeah. Daily driver. Do I have a daily... The question was, do I have a daily driver coffee?
Repeat the question back before you answer.
Oh, man.
Is that like asking a
home.
favorite child or something?
Yeah. Well, I only have one child, so that's easy. My go-to... so at my house, I primarily do espresso drinks. A few years ago, I invested in an espresso bar setup.
We are so going to go down this rabbit hole. Look at Cole.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll go down it. Yeah. That's what coffee is. Coffee's an endless rabbit hole.
I know.
I mostly make espresso, so my go-to, tried and true, is just the Eureka blend from Madcap.
Nice.
It used to be called Third Coast. That's their house espresso blend. But
Yeah.
I have a subscription. I've tried all the subscription services, and at one point I did 3 of them at the same time.
Oh man.
And I couldn't keep up.
Do you have
Yeah.
a coffee budget?
I do.
Heck yeah.
So
Sorry, I'm totally throwing off.
no,
What is this,
good.
amateur hour?
My expenses, yeah. So I have bills and all that, and then most of my frivolous spending is on 2 things, and that's coffee and books.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. I love it. What espresso machine do you have?
I have a Rocket Apartamento.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that. I paired it with a Baratza Sette 270
Sick.
WI,
Nice.
which is it's like the extra bougie whatever.
Is the Sette flat burrs? Or is it conical?
They are conical. Yeah, they're
Gotcha.
conical.
Gotcha.
That's comical.
Really?
It's comical.
Did you see that they just announced a flat burr niche?
I did. Yeah. I saw that, and then Baratza also has... Is it Baratza? I believe Baratza has... No. It's Fellow. Fellow has a brand new...
Yes. Like budget flat burr.
Yeah, it's
like
sub 200, I believe.
Yes.
I think they're going to corner the market.
Yeah.
Especially they're coming for Baratza
Yeah, they are.
because it does espresso and
Yes,
drip.
it does both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at getting the Gaggia
Yeah.
just to start.
Yeah.
Because I haven't delved into espresso
Like the
yet.
classic.
Yeah, just the classic pro.
Tried and true, man.
Tried and true. Like get that and then get the niche.
Yeah.
And then be
Oh.
able to like
Upgrade.
upgrade. And
Yeah.
then like end game. I don't know if I would go all the way to like the Linea Mini, but like
Yeah.
the Lilith Bianca has like had my eye for a while.
You could do the Linea Micra. That's their
yes,
brand new.
that's the new one. Yes.
Next year they'll have the Micra Micro.
Yeah, whatever.
It just gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Could fit it in your pocket after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is such a niche conversation. This is great.
I love it,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm like been doing pour overs for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm like, I really want to. I got a Steven actually from Quickwater. Shout out to Steven.
What's up, Steven? My former employer. What's up,
Hey,
dude?
yeah. He gave me his like the first version of the Flare Neo
Oh, yeah.
that he
Yeah.
got. So I've just been like messing around with that and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just really fun. So
Yeah. Shout out to Steven. I really enjoyed his episode. He's a great guy.
Yes.
I learned a ton from him.
yeah. So
I was just blocking. I feel like I was probably just blocking the coffee bag with my foot. So Quickwater coffee.
Quickwater.
thanks, Steven.
Thank you, Steven.
Appreciate you for sponsoring the podcast. We love you. We love you guys. We love Quickwater. We love what you guys are doing. If you haven't checked out Quickwater, go there. Rockford, Michigan. and they do great things over there. They air roast everything, which is really awesome.
They're like the only craft coffee shop north of, well, like
Creston, I think. North of the Creston.
Yeah. I was gonna say like on Plainfield, there's now a Sparrows, but north of that, there's really Sweetlands is like they do chocolate and candy and stuff, like a place that's like coffee. Like I feel like Sweetlands is more
for sure.
Yeah,
it's not. It's a little bit more like a boutique Starbucks, like a mom and pop.
That's a really accurate description.
That is good.
That's good.
That's great.
Boutique Starbucks.
And they're great. I love their espresso shake. But can you get a cortado there? I don't know.
Probably not.
You can.
You can.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Really?
I used to get cortados there all the time.
Is it good?
I mean, it's legit. Like, yeah.
Wow.
I think
well,
good
maybe
espresso and stuff.
Maybe I need to eat my words and go there again.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, Sweetlands is pretty boutique-esque. They just have boutique and other things. You know what I mean? But
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not used to coffee shops having more than a waffle to eat and having good coffee.
And a waffle and maybe waffle compote and maybe some avocado toast in there.
Yeah, right. Or like granola.
And they only have
granola,
bare granola.
And they only have 6 in stock. So if you don't get there before 10 a.m., you're not going to get a waffle.
Good try.
Yeah. And 3 croissants.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing. But anyways, check out Quickwater. The atmosphere is amazing. It's such a calm place to be. I don't know if you've ever been there yet. I know. You're kind of on South Grand Rapids,
I'm
right?
in Wyoming.
Yeah.
So it's north. I haven't been there yet. I've been wanting to go. I listened to Steven's episode and went, I should have gone before.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you're up there, check it out. I walked in there for the first time and was like, it's very open, but also welcoming at the same time.
Welcoming. I had a buddy paint a mural in there.
Nice.
Kirk Behrens painted that big coffee mural.
Also check out Kirk's episode.
Yeah,
he was on the podcast.
Kirk's episode. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it's a really cool place. It's
great. It's
pretty
big. So do you know downtown Rockford at all?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
So across from the dam, there's like a big building and it's got a bunch of different things in there. Yeah. So they're over there.
Oh.
And they're on the
boardwalk.
Yeah, they're on the ground level.
Nice.
And so they have a patio that's right on the boardwalk that they're going to open and have outdoor seating.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to have a reserved table with my name on it every day.
Just leave your computer there.
I'm going to bring my whole desktop set up in the corner outside.
Yep.
It's me.
Yep.
So
that's awesome.
I don't know if I'm sponsored by Quickwater, but that's me with Madcap.
Yeah.
That's it's like my spot.
Which, do you do the downtown one?
Every time.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. OG.
Love it.
It's, for a while I went to Fulton Street because downtown was so busy all the time.
Yeah.
And now, if you're not one of the first 5 in the door at Fulton Street,
it's busier.
Oh, yeah. It's slammed. And I love it.
It's smaller, too.
It is smaller, for sure.
Great space. Totally different vibe than downtown.
Yep.
And the downtown one is, that's my tried and true. It's where I learned to love coffee. I'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, this is our formal welcome.
Hello, what's up, guys?
We're so stoked to have Jacob Betts on the podcast with us. Welcome, Jacob, to our humble show.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Jacob has been a new friend for me. I was acquainted with you from your days at Wild Roast.
Yep.
Seeing you, I met you with Mike one time, I think.
Yep.
When we were getting coffee there, and and you've known Jacob through Christian.
Yeah, mainly through Christian.
Yeah.
I think I heard about you, and then I don't know if we formally met at the show that I shot for you guys.
I think it was.
I think so too.
Yeah, it was.
I've seen you on Instagram and stuff, but
yeah,
and then it came out and shot with you guys. So
yeah, Jacob, you are a coffee connoisseur, a dad, a husband, a artist, musician, a videographer, a man of many talents and interests, which I've learned very quickly you dive head on into.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I missed anything there.
Chronically obsessed person. There we go.
Yes. I love it.
We are very similar in a lot of
I was
ways.
going to say, that's like looking in a
I
mirror.
go hard.
And one of the, is it public information? The curators of Switchfoot's deep cut, deep cut song. What is that?
Yeah. So
the Discord.
All right, little side tangent. So, This is another thing I could talk about for hours.
I love it.
Is my love for Switchfoot. So years ago, there was a website run by Gina Morbitzer called Land of Broken Hearts. It comes from their song Golden, You're a Lonely Soul in the Land of Broken Hearts. And there was a rare song archive on that website. So they did tons of exclusive interviews with the band, and it was great. It was like a resource for all things Switchfoot. I believe she also ran one for 10th Avenue North as well. Also great band. And then she stopped doing it. And the rare song archive was lost. So these were songs that rare recordings, B-sides, demos, alternate mixes, things that the band had sent her to publish on there. And that was the safe resource for people who could go and get it and know
It's canon.
it's canon.
Yeah.
And it was also, it didn't come from like a leaked server or anything like that, or a hacked server.
Yeah, like the band approved it and was
Right.
aware of it.
And they would send her tracks too.
Yeah.
And that left a real gap in the fandom. So the forums they had back in the days of forums, right? I was super active on there. Those shut down randomly, like just one day they were gone. And so everyone went to a Facebook group, and that has now become officially attached to Switchfoot's Facebook page. You can do that.
Sure.
You can attach the group. And so my friend Steven and I, who I met through just the community of listeners, we wanted to rebuild that rare song archive. And we had some of them. We didn't have all of them. And so we have built it to be bigger than it was before. We started 4 or 5 years ago rebuilding it. We actually got in contact with Gina. She sent us everything we were missing.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then we had more. So we added it on there, and a whole bunch of live recordings to their entire 2007 tour with Reliant K. That's on there. Their tour with Lifehouse in 2017. That's all on board recordings that the band released. So the rule is if they've released it and it's no longer available, it can go on the Rare Song Archive. And we have the band's blessing. I have the email receipts.
Yeah, saved. Yeah.
So they'll send it to people. People will reach out and say, hey, do you have this song? I can't find it on your website. They go, hey, go to this link that some fans made.
Sick.
So,
That's so
curate
cool.
that.
That was so interesting when I heard about that. Sorry for the aside, but
No,
I
it's
love that.
yeah, that I feel like that's just a good tell of a little bit of the type of person you are and your attention to detail, your care for the things that you love.
A deep diver.
Yeah, and
Thank
your passion for life. So I don't know, I felt like that was an interesting
great.
point. But
That's awesome.
yeah, we and then I got to meet you more working with Jake, recording your new EP and everything like that with your band, the American Hotel System.
Plug.
Yeah.
Plug it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Show notes.
absolutely. And do you guys know when that's going to be releasing yet? Or
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. June 2nd, we're aiming. I don't know when this episode is going to be published, but June 2nd, 2 weeks. Okay.
Yep.
It's right around the time we'll probably be talking about it.
Amazing.
Sweet.
Amazing.
June 2nd happens to be my 5th wedding anniversary, and it's a
Congrats.
Friday. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a Friday this year.
New Music Friday.
New Music
Hey.
Friday. Hey, whoa, what? And the first song is called Seattle, which happens to be where we honeymooned because it's a song about our relationship. So kind of poetic there, I think. So it's going to come out June 2nd.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
First single, second single being
It's
July.
it's almost like you paid attention to what you were doing there.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where, I mean, I'll have ideas years in advance, be like, I need to do this at this time. And then this was one where a few months ago, we weren't going to put Seattle out as the first single. It was going to be a different song, Tripping. I think I even said that when we were, when Nate engineered this record, by the way. So thank you, Nate.
Yeah, of course.
I think we were talking about Tripping being the first single. And then Jake said, no, I think Seattle's the single. I think this is the one.
Well, didn't it grow on you guys kind of in the studio as it was starting to be built out too?
Yeah, we were
some
like,
of the
oh,
members or something.
We're like, wow, this is actually lead single. And I was like, oh, when can it come out? June, July is June 2nd, a Friday. And I looked and it was a Friday. I said,
That's ordained.
it has to happen.
Yeah.
It has to happen.
That's sick.
So, yeah.
Let's go.
Check that out, guys. I'm sure, follow them on Instagram. Is that the best place to keep up with you? Or
Yeah,
the
Instagram,
website?
Instagram, Facebook, actually.
I'll
Those are
link
the two
all
sites.
of these.
Yeah.
I'm running through my mind. Instagram, Facebook.
We're on Twitter, but I think our pinned tweet is like, we're not on here much. So check out Instagram.
Yeah. Just a forward to Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bitly or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's our link tree.
Awesome.
Bitly. Yeah.
Well,
That's
yeah, I encourage you guys to check it out. It was awesome getting to hear, the songs from demos to where they were. And I haven't heard the mixes and masters.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really excited to hear it.
I'll have to send them. You'll hear the masters, won't you? It'll probably come through to you.
I
right?
guess I will next week. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah, I'll have to check out what's going on over there.
Yeah.
But
We have
that's
to
so
have you
awesome.
sign an NDA now. And,
If I had to sign an NDA for all the stuff I've heard, then my life would be
I can't
paperwork.
imagine.
No way.
I can't imagine.
No way.
But yeah, so that was a really awesome experience. I guess I would love to dive into when we were in the studio, I think maybe during lunch or a break or something, I just got to kind of connect with you and hear a little bit about your journey, not only as a musician, but as a person. Your passion for coffee was one of the first things that we talked about because of the Wild Rose connection, obviously.
Yeah.
And your story is fascinating. And I feel like you're a good storyteller. I feel like you start at the right spot and you include the right details. So I don't know if that feels like a good place to jump into.
Sure.
Maybe just kind of talking about, unless you have something specific.
I was going to say that, weave music, coffee, anything you want together. I mean, you've heard the other formats of the show.
Yeah.
So Faith too, weave it all together, start wherever, 30,000 foot or go as deep as you want. we're here for it.
And the Rabbit Trio starts now. So
Cool. All right, go.
Time code.
It all started 26 years ago. No. Well, first of all, I love this format. I absolutely love the format. Coffee, obviously, very important part of my life. And a recurring theme within that, what attracts me to coffee is the community aspect of it, right? The summer before my freshman year of college, my friend Haley and I, who Haley plays drums in the band. You met Haley. You've met Haley.
Mm-hmm.
No,
no,
you
had
that's
a different
right.
drummer. I know who Haley is.
Yeah, she couldn't. It was her birthday. She was out of state.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you shoot another show.
I'd love to.
Yeah, Haley and I were leading worship at a summer camp in northern Michigan, and the guest speaker that week was a man named Stan Toller. Stan Toller was the superintendent of the Nazarene Church, I believe. I don't know how he ended up at the camp we were at, but he was there. He was there. If it was for any one reason, it was so I could hear this.
Sure.
That whole week. He was talking about the importance of community and unity within the body of Christ. And he said, there's so much division. There's so much denominational debate. But who's doing it right is that church down the street, the church across the road, whatever, community. So we should have community. And the best place to do that is over a pot of coffee. Because where there's coffee, there's community. And where there's community, there's opportunity to impact people's lives for the better.
Wow. Yeah.
And that I didn't even like coffee at the time. But I heard that and I was like, wow, that is really beautiful.
Yeah.
I grew up serving coffee at coffee hour, and pouring cups of my family. My grandma was the funeral ministry director at the church I grew up in, and she did all the funeral dinners, and I was always the coffee guy. So I'd walk around, I was like 10 or 11, had my little coffee pot, and pour for people, and it was cute. But I think what attracted me to that was the community, was the relationship.
Yeah.
So I went to college, and my orientation group leader, I went to Grace Bible College. It's now Grace Christian University. Small.
I had a couple friends go there.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Who do you know?
Jen Kling. I don't know if you know who Jen Kling is.
I actually don't.
The Jen Kling, they're younger, so I don't know if you would know that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Like,
Jen Kling, Ellie Glass.
oh, I know Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Dude,
Ellie. We had some overlap.
I played a youth camp with Ellie.
Oh, Ellie's great.
Ellie's sweet.
Shout out to Ellie on the podcast.
What
There.
up, Ellie? Yeah.
We're just going to people we know.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We should call them.
Yeah, hey, you want?
Yeah.
Mike Cervantes started going to Grace before their audio program merged with Cornerstones.
Interesting.
Yeah. He, I actually found out through talking with him here when we were tracking the record that he grew up in the same church as my wife and knows my wife's family from years ago.
That's sweet.
Played with her uncle in the worship band, and I was like, wait, what? Seriously? He was like, oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, small world.
Love that.
Really small world.
Community.
Community, right?
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Boom.
That's sweet.
So my orientation group leader said, meet 5 new people a day, and after a few weeks, you will have met everybody. Now, he didn't mean that literally, but I took it literally.
I was gonna say other people probably took it literally too.
So I had like 3 or 4 different journals, right?
Yes.
I had the prayer journal. I just write names every day. This person, right? I had another journal for lyrics, had another journal for daily whatever. Then I had a daily question journal for 5 years. And I was like, yeah, I made it like 4 months, right? But I had a list in one of my journals. I was like, all right, 5 people. Checklist. Boom, 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 boom. And I noticed the place to do that was the cafe on campus, which is called Kahawa Cafe, which is funny to me because Kahawa is coffee in Swahili and cafe is coffee in Italian. So it's called Coffee. So I would go to Coffee. And, the espresso was not great. So there is that. But I also didn't like coffee.
I was gonna say you had no idea. You
Right.
had no context.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So I would get a drink called the City by the Bay. It was iced. I get it iced with a San Francisco shot, which either of you know what that is?
I don't.
No.
Okay. Well, number 1, never do it. If you're listening and you have an espresso machine, don't do this. Okay. It will ruin your boiler because cinnamon doesn't dissolve. Okay?
What? You put cinnamon in the...
So you dose
I've heard of that. Actually.
half of the espresso, lightly tamp it. Ugh. Number 1, you're tamping it twice.
my
Don't do
gosh.
that. I didn't know. Okay. This is like 9 years ago. Lightly tamp it, sprinkle cinnamon, dose the rest, then tamp it again, and then pull it. And I think it's mostly placebo. Now there is a way to do this where it's cinnamon and sugar, and that's like a Cuban traditional thing.
I've heard of the
Okay.
Cuban.
Yeah.
The Cuban one, not the
And
San
you
Francisco.
can pull it on it, and that's different.
Sure.
Right? But don't tamp your anyway. But I didn't know this. I was a noob, so I would get that on ice. It was a white chocolate caramel latte. I'd get double syrup, and then I would add sugar packets after. And listen, I don't want to shame anybody, okay? If you're listening and you like sweet coffee, that's okay. That's fine.
You're welcome here.
We all start somewhere,
Yeah.
okay?
That's right.
You're welcome.
But what I
here.
am saying is the amount of sugar that was inside of this drink, I probably lost a few years off of my life from drinking this, right? But I would get that, and I'd offer to buy it for other people. And I was like 17, right? So one day I bought
Sounds like
6 of those.
That sounds like an $8
What?
coffee.
Oh yeah, my mom texted me. She would, because she got a bank alert, and she was like, "Why did you just spend $40?" You know, like at the coffee. And I was like, "Well, I was buying it for other people." And she's like, "They can buy their own." Like, you're all in the same situation. Like, I was like, "Yeah." But I wanted to meet people. So a few weeks into that, my goal was to add less sugar each time.
Weighing it off.
Yeah, just slowly, you know. 3 weeks into that, It was Art Prize. I'm not from here. I'm from Houghton Lake up north. Never heard of Art Prize before. Largest open art competition in the world, right? It was quite a sight for me to see. And my friend took me down to the Grand Rapids Art Museum. I think that year is when I don't know if you guys saw it's like a shadow box, the giant room with a box that had a single light bulb in the center projected.
I remember. I
forget what it's called, reflections or something. Anyway, it was beautiful, beautiful,
really cool.
And my friend was like, "Hey, I want to swing into Madcap afterwards." And I said, "Oh, I've never been to Madcap. I've heard of it, but I've never really been to downtown Grand Rapids before." And he was like, "You've never been to Madcap? We gotta go." And so we went, and I walked in, and I did the same thing every other person who's never been to a specialty coffee shop does. I looked at the menu, and I said, "What's a cortado?" He's like, "Well, that's what I'm gonna get." I was like, "Yeah, what is it though? I don't know what that word means." Macchiato? I don't know. Cappuccino? I think I've heard of that. Yeah. And I think they had latte, mocha, miel, and then their coffee said "See coffee menu." And I went, "What does that mean?" I'm looking at the coffee menu, right? And I was like, "A mocha has chocolate, right? Where's my white chocolate caramel, man?" Like, he's like, "Just get the mocha."
Sugar packets.
Yeah, it was 6 sugar packets. Yeah. He said, "Well, just get a mocha." I said, "Okay." And it was $4.75 for a 12-ounce mocha, right? And I said, "I don't care how much I hate this. I'm going to drink every drop."
All of it.
Yeah. Because I was 17 and $4.75. I would kill for it to be that price now. I think it's $6 now.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to say. It's the price of a
now
cortado.
Yeah, but now I'm hooked, right? So they got me.
It worked.
Spoiler, they got me. So I got the mocha, and I did the same thing everyone else does. I go, "Wow, look at latte art." And I took a picture, sent it to my mom. I'm like, "Look at this, Mom. I've never seen this in real life, Super cool. I mean, transformative experience for me, really. Mm-hmm. And we sat down, the corner table in the back by the little alcove in the wall, orange chair. The one orange chair they have still there, sat in that chair. Nice. And I took a sip, and I was ready because it smelled so good and it looked so good. And I took a sip, and I hated it because it was good espresso, well extracted espresso.
Without added sugar.
Dark chocolate. Like, it's single origin Tanzania, Omanahene cocoa powder that they use in that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
abort.
Okay, I'm gonna finish this. So I kept sipping it, and once I got over the shock of well extracted espresso, I was like, okay, I guess this is kind of chocolatey, I guess. And we sat there and we had conversation, and somewhere in the midst of that, I looked around, and there were people looking at the art installation for Art Prize. There was a couple playing chess. There was a guy reading a book. And there were people just having community. And people were walking out outside. It was beautiful fall colors, right? It's like a Hallmark movie.
Yep.
And I went, oh, okay. I think I get this. This is more than just a quick fix of caffeine. This is more than just all right, give me my coffee, I gotta go. This is art, right? This is beautiful. This is an experience. And I ordered another mocha to go. And ever since then, I've craved that same thing, right? Trying to recreate that experience. And so I didn't have a car. I actually didn't have my driver's license at the time. I passed driver's training and did all that. I hated driving. I refused to drive. So my mom had to drive my license down to me. I put it off for like 18 months. And she was like, okay, you have to take your road test and get your license because you're moving to college. And so I took my road test the week before I moved, and she had to drive my license to me.
Come down.
Yeah. I was like, thanks, and I didn't use it. And
just frame that on the wall.
She made me get a car. That's good. No, it's good. And then I was a delivery driver, and now I'm fine. That'll really boost your confidence. Anyway, I would find friends who had vehicles and say, hey, if you drive us down to Madcap, I'll buy your coffee for you. So they would. And we would go, and yeah, that's where I learned to love coffee. And that's my spot. I'm there almost every day. And I don't want to think about my bank account when I reflect on 9 years of going there every day.
Yeah. But I was gonna ask, do you remember what the first drink you had that was either like black or like that you vividly remember?
It's a San Sebastian from Madcap. That coffee used to be in their Third Coast blend, and that was the first black coffee I ever tried. And I went, whoa, this is what? I didn't know it could taste like this.
Right.
My idea was like my grandparents' percolator.
Yeah.
You go
Just
like, oh,
oil.
this is palatable. Like,
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's just kind of been a deep dive ever since then. I went home that night, that first day I went to Madcap, and watched the same friend. He worked at the cafe, worked at Kahawa, at Coffee, and watched him. I was obsessed with I was really drawn to the process. I was like, hey, I want to watch you make espresso. What's the portafilter? What is this tamping thing? What is this? And so I watched the coffee culture was different on YouTube then, right? Lance Hendricks didn't exist. The James Hoffmans and all those people of the world didn't do things online. And I'm really, really grateful that, I think James Hoffman has a few million subscribers now.
He does.
Which is incredible, right? 2007 World Barista Champion.
Legend.
Absolute legend, man. Love that guy.
And Lance, too.
Yeah, Lance Hendrick, man. He's killing it. He just celebrated, 1 year, 2 years?
It's been a side thing for him because he's worked at Onyx forever.
Yeah, and I think it was 2 years he just celebrated. Yeah. And he's climbing.
It's so cool to see his production change.
Oh yeah.
He started like in his like kitchen, and now he has like a proper space, proper lighting, like proper it's so awesome.
It's crazy.
And I love how quirky he is. Like he's awesome.
Yeah. Just beatbox in the middle of a
He's
recipe.
like the antithesis of James.
Yes. Yes.
In the best way.
They're yin and yang.
Yes, they are. They are. Refers to James as Daddy Hoff.
Daddy Hoff. Daddy Hoff.
Yeah, James is like
ride.
the soft-spoken, like very even,
very put together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So all that existed for me was like chef steps.
Yeah,
or Ehow, Mahalo. Or
how to make an espresso
That's
at home
exactly
in 6 simple steps.
Expert Village.
Expert Village. A lot of my first guitar lessons were Expert Village.
Yep.
Yeah. Because they had the how to play Guitar Hero 3 songs.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get to that. I got to go back and talk about that. But yeah, so I watched those and then said to my friend, hey, can you drive me to Meyer? I need to buy a French press and a blade grinder. And
tough.
Yeah. But it's just been nonstop ever since then. And so I've worked, after I graduated with my undergrad, I actually went to the American Barista and Coffee Institute. I did their certification program. Totally unnecessary, but I just want to learn as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Deep dive, like I said. I worked at Roaster with Steven, and then had the pleasure of helping open Wild Roast, being part of the launch team there. And then I thought I was done with coffee because I work for a nonprofit. Like you said, videographer. I primarily do children's devotionals. If you're familiar with the YouVersion Bible app, I make kids devotionals on there in partnership with One Hope, and then we license our content to them. That was a crazy thing. But and then I actually opened the cafe at Res Life Church in Granville.
Oh, sweet.
Almost 2 years ago. So I helped them start from the ground up, and just left 2 months ago, officially, I was like, okay, like the band is doing more than ever, and I think they're in a really good spot. So
that's what I was going to ask you: is the band and music, is that what you're doing like full time right now?
So yes, and also
the versions.
So it's the band is definitely full time for me.
Yeah,
which is awesome, and the nature of my job, being a content creator, is really what I am, right?
Yeah.
So the most of what I do, I would say 85% of what I do for the nonprofit involves producing these children's devotionals. So that's writing the lesson, filming it, editing it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I can work from anywhere, really, which is awesome.
Yep.
That's really fortunate for me being a musician. So that was, coffee, the recurring, I don't know if I just clipped the mic there, but
it's all
recurring
good.
thing for me. Yeah, you can fix it. Just boop.
Nate's works.
Sprinkle some magic production dust on it. That's all you do.
Right? Here's a meme about our podcast though. We always talk about how we can fix it and we never do. So
yeah, fix it in post.
So it's in there.
Yeah. We're always like, oh, we'll edit that out. And then you'll like watch the podcast and you'll see something happen and we'll go, we'll edit that out.
And then
like,
stays.
Yeah.
We're like, authenticity, guys.
Hit the master button. Right?
Hey, we want more low end.
Throw a chain on it.
Yeah.
Just turn up the low end. Oh, okay.
So coffee, I think coffee and community, that's the thing that is attractive to me and all of that. And deeper than that, something in the last few years I think I've been learning about myself is, are you guys familiar with the word Sehnsucht? Ever heard that? So it's a German word. There's no perfect English translation of it, but it means a deep longing. Longing that we all have, right? We all have longings in our souls, right? C.S. Lewis wrote a lot about it. Recurring themes in all of his work. He has a really great portion of The Weight of Glory, his address, I think at Oxford, talking about these longings. And we so often write them off as nostalgia. We say, oh, that's nostalgia, and then we're happy with that. Totally paraphrasing him, but that's an injustice. He calls that an injustice.
Wow.
And to call these things nostalgia, language that really captivated me. He called it the music that we were born remembering. What? The music we were born remembering, right? Echoes of a song that we've not heard. News from a land which we've never visited. Whoa. And then you reread Narnia.
Dude.
And you go, I reread it last year. Because I read it as a kid and I saw the movie.
Dude.
Yeah. And I go, Edmund. Man, what the heck, Edmund? What are you doing, Edmund? No. Oh, wait, I'm Edmund.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, wow. And those recurring themes within his writing of this longing. Space Trilogy, by the way, underrated. If you haven't read it,
I actually haven't.
Very good. Very, very good. Actually came out of a conversation him and Tolkien had about the state of sci-fi fantasy.
Interesting.
Before Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he wrote the Space Trilogy, and then Tolkien started the sci-fi book that he never finished because he wrote Lord of the Rings.
To be in the room with those two people.
Oh, can you imagine?
Dude.
Being in the rabbit room, like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the rabbit room at the Eagle and Child, the tavern they were always at, right? Like, oh my goodness. So that idea of this deep longing really captivated me, and I think it gave me language to understand what I've been searching for my whole life, right? All the art that I create, the projects that I decide to be part of, the actions I take. Coffee, right? Trying to recreate that experience that I had that first time at Madcap. What is that deeper longing to me? And I think it's this deep, for me, this deep passion for community, which goes into kind of my whole family history. That is just permeated throughout my entire life. Going back to my childhood, I'm an only child. I was really fortunate. Grew up with two amazing parents and grandparents who live right next door to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which took that for granted for
such
sure.
a blessing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And for the first about 2 years of my life, my great grandmother actually as well had her, which is amazing. And now my son actually, my mother lives in the same house as we do, and so he has one of his grandparents there, and then my wife's parents live 20 minutes away, and then her grandparents live like 15 minutes away, and my grandpa lives like 10 minutes away. They're all right there. It's beautiful, right? Just multi-generational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I grew up, we were not a churched family at first. When I was born, my grandmother had grown up going to church. Her brother is actually a Baptist pastor in California. They're from Missouri. She moved here when she was 15. My grandpa's from Flint. They met in high school and then moved up to Houghton Lake in the early 90s. So I was born. My dad was a very angry atheist. He was part of the foster care system. And one of the foster families he was with were, they claimed to be devout believers. And then they'd, on the way to church, like beat him. And then come home from church, beat him again. They used him as a slave. Like they had a farm and they used him as a slave. He got out of that, fortunately. But that was his idea of Christians. That was his idea.
Wow.
Was just this, bunch of hypocrites, right? So he was angry atheist, right? His dad died when he was 4. His mom was a prostitute and abandoned him and his siblings. And so CPS came. A neighbor, fortunately, noticed there were these kids who were taking care of themselves. Called CPS. They came, raided the house, took the kids away, and got them into foster families. Broke all the kids up, though. Like,
dang,
7 siblings. And they all lost each other. Even twins. There were twins. My aunt and uncle split the twins up. My uncle ended up in my grandparents' foster home. So they had my mom, and they couldn't have other kids. So they started the foster home, and my uncle ended up there. And my dad was looking for his siblings. Called, got my grandmother's number, said, "Hey, is my brother Mike there?" She said, "Yeah. Do you want to come and visit him?" He said, "Please." And so he actually had to be snuck out of the foster home he was in to come and see his brother. And eventually he was able to move in with my grandparents. And that's how my parents met, which is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Yeah, so they had me and went a few years, happy childhood. When I was 5, we were at Shed Aquarium. And my mother got really sick, and we just thought it was stomach flu, whatever. Went home. We were in Chicago, went home early. And she knew something was really wrong. She's an RN. She was like, "I don't have the stomach flu. Something's going on here." Yeah. She went to a doctor friend and said, "I need you to admit me. I'm going to die. I have a 5-year-old son, and I can't die right now." And he said, "Okay." So at Shed Aquarium 2 weeks prior, her appendix ruptured.
Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
And she was so sick.
Yeah.
She was so sick.
Whoa.
Yeah. My preschool teacher went to a church and her pastor came and visited my mother a few times a week. We didn't know this guy. He just came to visit her. And we had a family friend who was a pastor who he came. And in that process, she ended up accepting Jesus when she was super sick. So we started going to church. She was like, I need a place to go. She sold most of what she owned, and she was like, "I don't need this stuff. This is all like, it was a really powerful experience for her. Like it was a perspective shift of like what matters in life. So we started going to this church, and some of my friends were there from preschool, and I don't remember the moment that I said the little prayer, the first time, but that was the start of that for me, and loved that church I was part of. Man, I mean, they watched me grow up. I still see people every now and then when I go up north, and yeah, such love, such beauty in that community, and I found out I really love music through that. I've always loved music, but I found out I liked performing, and started in the church worship band when I was 11. That was my first instance playing in front of people. Learned some basic guitar. My grandparents actually bought me a guitar when I was 2. And my mom said, "What is he going to do with a guitar?" He's 2. And then one day, we actually were just watching some home video the other day. I'm getting him converted.
Yeah.
So I went through, I got to see what's on these tapes. And there's a video of me on my 2nd birthday. I just picked up the guitar, and we always had music playing, and we had this beautiful, like 5.2 surround sound system that was my mom's that she bought in college, and playing Garth Brooks through that, man. And I was like lip syncing the words. I was 2.
Whoa. Like
dancing in time, lip syncing the words, holding the guitar backwards. She was like, "What is this? This is so cute." And so that was a staple of childhood for me. It was like lip syncing country songs. And I got a real guitar when I was 6 or 7. Kind of tried to play it. I was too small. I was really too small for it. Put it away for a few years. My dad bought me Guitar Hero 3 for Christmas because he wanted it.
Is that actually a gift for him?
Yeah. Like hardcore gift for him. Yeah. And there were real guitars in that game. You could unlock, like Slash's 85 Les Paul VOS. And I was really attracted to the gear. And I went, I kind of want to learn how to play this again. And like I said, Expert Village had how to play Guitar Hero 3 riffs. And that was the start. And so I learned basic chords and started in the church band, and ended up, I was worship leading when I was 14, 15. Started doing children's ministry, children's songs, and that was a real passion of mine. And said, maybe, because I wanted to go to school to be an artist for years. I wanted to be an artist and illustrator, and with some graphic design as well. My father was an artist, so I learned how to draw from him, and that was a really unifying thing for the two of us, especially he was sick. I didn't mention that. And then I just said, well, maybe music is what I want to do. And it just kind of clicked with me. And through that process also, music was really therapeutic. So when I was 10, my father got pneumonia really bad. He had pneumonia every year, like clockwork. He had always kind of been sickly. So my mother was deathly ill when I was 5. By the grace of God, she made it out of that. And then my dad started to have all these issues. So he had a cyst in his throat, a thyroglossal duct cyst. He went to get that looked at, had a CAT scan of it, and it took a really long time. I remember for that to happen. And he came out and he said, I think they were taking pictures on my head. Weird, not my neck. And his ENT called him the next day and said, I don't know how to say that. You have a brain tumor. And this radiologist noticed this pituitary tumor right between his eyes and took pictures of it. Went out of the way to take pictures of it. It wouldn't have been discovered. It was benign. Had to have emergency brain surgery to remove that. He was partially blind the rest of his life. He had tunnel vision. And then it just kind of was piled on after that. He got super sick, got pneumonia. The pneumonia never went away. It was just perpetually weak lungs, perpetually sick, and it got worse and worse. And he was diagnosed with restrictive lung disease, COPD, bronchiolitis obliterans, organized pneumonia. That's a mouthful. Super rare, super rare. And most of my childhood was spent, a vast majority of my childhood was spent doctor's offices, University of Michigan. My mom and I lived out of a hotel room in Ann Arbor for 3 months. when I was 12.
Wow.
Yeah. So music and all of that was like a great way to stay sane.
Yeah.
Right.
The
fall on
line.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the through line for sure. And also having a family that was there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So blessed and so fortunate for that. My grandparents would go home to get fresh clothes and do laundry for my mom and I, and bring us down, and we had family friends who would like feed our pets that we had cats and dogs, and a great church family to support us. And that was a whole huge chapter of my life that I talk about it now and I go, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, praise God that we got through that. And it was him sustaining us, man. Like, one of the main thing I teach in children's ministry is stewardship. And, 1 Timothy 6:17-19, to paraphrase, Paul is talking about commanding those who are rich not to trust in money, but to trust in God, to be generous and willing to share, right? And always look for ways to do good works.
Open-handed.
That's right. And he says, this way you lay up treasures for yourself as a firm foundation for the coming age, and take hold of life that is truly life. True life, right? A life that trusts in God, a life that serves other people, and a life that is generous. And trusting in him, man, like, it sounds great on paper.
Oh, man. Easier said than done.
It sounds great on paper. You're like, oh, yeah, that's beautiful. And that's, yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I love it. And then you're having to stay at a hospital 3.5 hours away, and you don't know where you're going to stay for the night. So you have a liaison that you call, a concierge service, and say, hey, I need a hotel room, one hotel room. And they go, well, President Obama is in town doing a commencement tomorrow. All of the hotel rooms are booked. And they find the grossest, nastiest Red Roof Inn room that you have ever seen in your life, that you feel like you're going to get a disease just from looking at it, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And you walk into that room and you go, wow.
What's God doing?
This is his provision for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have anything. We'd sleep in our car,
Yeah.
because we couldn't stay at the hospital. That's the reality, I think, of actual trust. It's like, wow. And I fall on those moments to go, wow, if I have a season, I was just talking with my therapist about this a few weeks ago. She said, if you have an issue, it seems like you always have a positive attitude about it. And I said, yeah, well, I think about these past experiences I have, and I've always been taken care of. I've always been okay at the end. And I think that, you have two choices. I think you can either wake up every day and be angry about your circumstances and be frustrated by your circumstances. And I think that makes sense in the moment. I really do. Logically. But you can also wake up, and I learned this from my mother every day, seeing her wake up, take care of my dad. She's an RN. She actually ended up quitting her job to take care of him full time. We turned my bedroom into a hospital room for him towards the end. And seeing every day her continue to serve him and take care of him and take care of me. And never let it, she never got angry through all of that, right? We had hard days. We had days that were way harder than others.
Yeah, for sure.
But we still had some of the greatest memories of my childhood were when he was like deathly ill. Because you have to stay positive. You have to go, you know what? We have today. Today might not be great, but we'll try again tomorrow. And tomorrow's not guaranteed also.
Right.
So we want to make the most of every moment, right? So he ended up dying when I was 16. A whole last year of his life was very difficult. He had prostate cancer. He had to have surgery for that. Never really recovered from that surgery. And the last few weeks of his life were very difficult to witness. And yeah, I was in the middle of, I was a big theater kid in high school. I was the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, June of 2013, 10 years ago. And I had a matinee performance. And my father was being transferred from Cadillac to Traverse City, to Munson Medical in Traverse City. And I went and did the matinee performance. I gave him a hug. I said, all right, Dad, I love you. I'll see you later. And he said, I love you too, son. I'll see you later. And that's the last time I ever saw him. He died on the way to the hospital. Whoa. Okay. So I grew up with a sick father, prepped myself every night to go, you know what? He could die tomorrow. Or, what if I woke up in the morning and he wasn't alive? I think I'd be okay. No matter how hard you prep yourself, when the moment comes, you go, this isn't how I planned for it to be.
Right. Yeah.
This isn't what this isn't
my plan.
Yeah, this wasn't my plan. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yep. Sheesh.
And I think it's in those moments that's the reality of trusting. Go, oh, okay. I went to college and still recovering from. I hadn't deal with that with any of the trauma from that. Hadn't dealt with any of the pain or.
So then a year later, you were like, you said 17. You're at college.
That's right. And that whole year post his death is just a blur.
Sure.
My mother and I will speak frequently about that. We go, what were we doing? Do you remember anything? She's like, not really. It was just we were coasting, right? We were coasting. He died. I immediately needed the kick into action. So I was like, give me a cell phone. I'm going to call all of his contacts and tell them. This is like 2 hours after. And I just called people. That's what I needed to do. I had another show that night. I did the show.
Wow.
And that was really beautiful. My theater group, Cadillac Footlighters, love you guys. Super supportive of me. They dedicated the last performance to him. Really poured myself into ministry at church and children's ministry, and we started Child Evangelism Fellowship that year. And made myself busy. Right? Made myself busy.
Distraction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have either of you read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry? John Mark Comer?
I'm like,
please.
3/4 of the way through right now.
Yeah. I have to reread that book every July.
Yep.
That's my time. That's when it starts to hit me every year.
Great.
The burnout. Right?
Yep.
So Jeff Mannion.
I've heard the name.
He's the lead pastor at Ada Bible, but he's written some really great books. Last year we were at my wife's family. They go to Gull Lake Ministries every year for their summer. They call it camp. Have you ever been there?
It's gorgeous.
It's a resort.
Yeah, it's not camp.
It's all inclusive.
Yeah, it's a resort.
Yeah.
Beautiful space. Actually, my sister-in-law is getting married there.
It's like
yeah. I forget what house it is we stay in every year. Anyway, they have a house every year that they reserve. And they've gone for like 20 years, right?
Sweet.
So I married into that, so I get to be part of that every year.
Benefits.
Yeah. My wife's the oldest grandchild of the oldest. She's the oldest daughter of the oldest daughter. And so there's like 16 or 17 of us that end up being in a house every year. Jeff Mannion last year, he just went through, he was the guest speaker, and he said, this is, do you know anybody in your life who's chronically overcommitted? And my wife just turned and did that.
You're like,
it was the point without the point.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
Like, behind me?
I feel attacked right now. And that's me, man. And that's been me really ever since my father died. I was always busy. I had a busy childhood, but it was just part of my life. So I did Boy Scouts. I was doing, we were really big in the church that I was in. We were super involved with different ministries there. there was a season earlier in my life where I did taekwondo, dance academy, and scouting, Cub Scouts, all at the same time. What? And then all the church stuff. It was just it was so much, right? Yeah. Go. Yeah. It was beautiful experiences too. But I really made myself busy. I needed to be busy after my dad died, not mourn, right? Mm-hmm. I did my dad's funeral. Like I officiated his funeral. I did his eulogy. It was such an honor to do that. It was a really beautiful experience, but I never stopped to mourn. So I went to college, still not having mourned. It was the first time in my life that I was ever away from my family. My roommate would go home for the weekend because he lived in Kalamazoo. It was an hour drive for him. And I'd be alone. And I remember that first weekend that I was truly alone. My friends that I had made, they were out of town or unavailable, and it was dead. It was like a Friday night. No one was on campus. And I had a total breakdown. I went, what is this? What is happening? 2 months later, I was, my family actually moved down here, moved in with them. My grandparents came, they lived with us. They were old enough to need us to be nearby, but still independent. Yeah. And then my mother moved down. She didn't have anything else up north, right? So we just, it's a new chapter. So I moved in with them, and I would commute every morning. So it was a January morning, and I would go super early so I could go to the coffee shop and get coffee and sit in my booth. It was my booth. Everyone knew it was my booth. Right?
Don't touch Jacob's booth.
It's my booth.
Is this Madcap or Coffee?
This is Coffee.
Okay.
This is how
give me the sugar, baby.
So well, at this point I was just like, just give me a mocha, please.
Sure, yeah.
And it was early. It was a Monday. Every Monday I would go, and I was part of a mentoring program at one of the local elementary schools, and I'd mentor a third grader. It was part of a class I was doing, but I really enjoyed it, and I chose to do it the next semester because I loved it so much. It was icy, and college kids don't like to move their cars, right? They'll pick a spot, like, this is mine. It's free real estate, right? Like, now as a commuter, I'd like to be able to park close, right? Especially in the wintertime. If you're not going to move your car, park further back in the lot, people. Like, just do it. Like,
PSA.
Courtesy to other, anyway. So actually it was a friend of mine, Jackie, if you're listening, your yellow truck. We had like a fake beef with this yellow truck. Anyway, she had moved her truck, and I parked in that spot. I was like, yes, free spot, front row. It was 6:30 in the morning, and maintenance hadn't been able to like salt the parking lot yet, and it was icy from a few weeks of ice being built up in that spot. So I got out of my car, grabbed my bag. The last thing I remember is slipping on the ice, and then 3 days later, I apparently got up, went to the elementary school, mentored that child. I had to contact them. I was like, did I sign in last week? They're like, yeah, here. I was like, I have no memory. I took an exam.
What'd you get on?
Oh, now I was like straight A student, okay. Right? Like I went to Grace, almost full ride scholarship.
Nice.
Right? Like, so I was just, like, academics were really big for me.
Yeah.
My prof, number one, he handed it to me upside down. Right? And I was like, oh.
Then
what?
Yeah.
I have no memory of this place, and he said, hey, you want to talk to me after class? I was like, yeah, sure. What's up? He went, what happened? I said, I don't remember taking this. And he was like, yeah, you seem kind of off. I went and saw Interstellar that night.
Yes.
With two of my friends. That was my fifth time seeing it. I don't remember going to see it a fifth time, right? They were like, yeah, something was really weird with you. Your pupils were all weird. So I had a major TBI. And I had a concussion before. Which if you follow me on Instagram, my personal Instagram is the Concussed Coffee Geek.
Mm-hmm.
This is why.
Gotcha.
It was a really, really bad brain injury. After a few weeks, post-concussive syndrome set in. I couldn't talk. I had expressive aphasia. I had short-term memory loss, and I started having debilitating pain attacks behind my right eye. They thought I had a stroke the first time that it happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Like the right side of my face was droopy. I slur my words. My eye started to water. My nose started to run, just my right nostril. Went to the hospital. They're like, oh my gosh, he's having a stroke, right? No stroke. So I went to a pain clinic at Mary Free Bed. I did their post-concussive clinic, had to do speech therapy to learn how to talk again. It was really crazy. And I was 18.
Wow.
I just started dating my wife. And she says, well, you didn't love me before you hit your head. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's why. So yeah, that was 8 years ago, and that was a huge thing in my adulthood. I was having to learn how to deal with that, and managed the pain pretty well. I had these pain attacks, and those pain attacks would turn into non-epileptic seizures. That weird, right? I mean, I did the EEG. I've done overnight studies. They were like, yeah, you don't have epilepsy, so that's good. A month ago, I finally got into a neurologist. So I took about 5 years of not doing anything. Okay. Because you get kind of burned out of being told, well,
could be
you're psychosomatic. It's all in your head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think so. I wouldn't lie about this.
Yeah.
Why would I do this?
Yeah.
This is really disruptive.
Uh-huh.
I did 23 credits one semester and worked 4 on-campus jobs.
What?
And was going, well, yeah, obviously I'm having a crisis, so I'm going to make myself busier.
Yeah.
Duh.
The default, yeah.
Yeah, let's just ramp it up.
Yeah.
So I ran the recording studio. I was an academic advisor. I was a tutor. And I was and I became a certified empowerment coach through the school and did coaching for freshmen.
What? Yeah.
23 credits, was going to Mary Free Bed 3 times a week for rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also leading a small group. And my doctor said, you need to take a year off. And I said, but I'll lose my scholarship. So I'm going to go harder.
Sabbatical.
Yeah. Well, that led to some burnout, man.
I believe it.
That didn't sound possible what you just said.
No, it was bad. And that just made my medical problems worse.
Right.
So I had an EEG done, and the neurologist said to me, hey, you have non-epileptic seizures. Oh, well, that's cool. Good to know. It's not cool, but it's good to know, right? And that was 6 years ago. And I went, okay, well, I'm just gonna. Then at the time there was nothing they could do for it. Nothing. I did pain management, and there wasn't like a medication or anything. But the seizures were caused by pain attacks. Well, they couldn't do anything about the pain attacks because I didn't have migraines. They said it was migraine. I didn't have migraines. When I have these pain attacks, they're like, worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Like, I want to claw my eye out. Yeah. It's like a hot ice pick going through my right eye every time. Same spot.
Wow.
Same spot, right? Debilitating.
Yeah.
Can't walk. Nothing. I mean, I fall on the ground and they're called, so I suspected I had cluster headache. I don't know if you've heard of those before. It's one of the most painful pain disorders that is known to medical science. It wasn't until recently that studies have been done to look at the causation of cluster headache. Well, my son was born last year, and that was a whole crazy thing I'll have to mention in a little bit. But I had one when I was holding him. He was about a month old, and thankfully, my wife was there. to grab him. But that was like reality check.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you need to take care of yourself. Maybe you need to actually pay attention to what your body's saying. And
so, sorry.
Yeah.
This would just like come out of nowhere?
Yeah.
And then last for how long?
If I'm lucky, 15 to 20 seconds. If I'm unlucky, 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No way of knowing.
Sure.
And then they happen often in the early morning or in the evening.
Okay.
Like 5 to 7 p.m. or like 7 a.m.
Sure.
And then if it happens at 7 a.m.,
is the day like
the rest of my day is just, I'm gone. Learning to have grace for yourself.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like chronically overcommitted.
Yep. You got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Dude, I got my list, man.
Responsibilities and people counting on you.
Yeah. Apple added the dots you can check off in your notes. Come on. I got to do my check marks, man. So I had another breakdown 2 years ago and was diagnosed with OCD. And I went, oh, that makes sense. My friend said to me, one of my friends said, I hope you didn't pay for that diagnosis.
Because I could have told you that.
Yeah. My mom said, I've known that since you were like 5. My wife was like, yeah, obviously. And I was like, well, that's good. I can, so I've been doing therapy for that. And that's really helpful. But
when was the last time you had one of the pain attacks?
Yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. Last night.
Dang.
So I started going to a doctor.
Yeah. You said a month ago.
Yeah. So I've been on a wait list for a neurologist for like 10 months. Finally got in last month. Went in, University of Michigan. He's one of the best, right? He asked me a whole bunch of questions in like 5 minutes. And he went, yep. Oh yeah. Okay. And how long do these last for? And I was like, I don't know, like 45 minutes to an hour. If it's a bad one, 15 to 20 seconds. He went, okay. And does one side of your face like droop and you like want to claw your eyeball out and, hit yourself in the head? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I've had these and like if somebody, like if they call them suicide headaches.
Wow.
If somebody had a gun, I would legit, like I've been in moments of desperation where I would take the gunshot.
Wow.
Like it's horrible.
My gosh.
And then like the emotional side of that is like afterwards you're like, oh my goodness.
Hold on.
Like, whoa.
Time out.
He was like, yeah, so what you're describing is textbook cluster headache. Good news. We have a medication now. It's a calcium channel blocker. And in the last like 2 years, they've discovered that there's been research done that's shown that calcium channels might be the cause of cluster headache. No idea why. I'm sure someone out there does. I don't know. I've tried to look it up. I can't figure it out. But so I started that medication a month ago, and I've only had like 3 attacks since then, which is great.
How often were they occurring before?
So the thing about cluster headaches is they're called clusters because they happen in clusters.
Oh, yeah.
So I can go 3 months without having one, and then I'll have like 6 weeks where I have at least 2 or 3 a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude. What?
Crazy. So like that's another element of learning trust and going, wow, I'm in this like, ugh.
I was gonna say like earlier, like all of those experiences, like we've kind of touched on this before, but it's like that's where like faith, like rubber meets the road, right? It's like it's easy to praise God when you're on a mountaintop. It's hard to praise God when you have a thing that you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, when you have a great day, you're like, oh, this is beautiful. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, the sun is out, the birds are singing. Yeah.
And then you fall into that proverbial miry pit that David wrote about.
Yeah.
And I think about Moses. I forget which section it's in, but when the Israelites they're complaining, and Moses goes to God and he says, "Just kill me," right?
Yeah.
Like that, man. Like that's like I think we've all been there. We're like, really? come on, man. Like, I mean, he is extra dramatic there, right? Like that's the reality of like the human experience where it's David being like, God, where are you?
Yes.
Why do the unholy people, why do the evil people prevail? I mean, you're here, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But faithfulness, it'll all be taken care of in the end. And that's so hard to live out. Those mountaintop experiences though, while beautiful, I can look on those and go, yeah, beautiful, but it's never in those moments ever that I have felt. I might have a spiritual high from like this, not to be cynical, but there's I think sometimes some artificiality to that, right?
Oh yeah.
Give us some, give
Emotion.
us some like movement of a pad and some fog and some really cool lights. And like, that's the Holy Spirit, man. Instant spirit,
No, that's called production.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called manipulation.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like truly.
Yep. There's TED Talks on that about how like slow music can really
it's captivating.
Like, hypnotize people.
It's
almost.
captivating.
Yeah.
The times that I've felt God the strongest are in that really bad Red Roof Inn
When the bottom falls out.
Yeah. Or in the little things. I was desperately hungry one day. I forgot to eat. I was desperately hungry working behind the espresso bar. That's a great combo. Coffee on an empty stomach. Yeah.
Been there for sure.
And I was just like, I am so freaking hungry. And we had a line of 24 drinks to make at the bar. I mean, it was slammed. It was a Saturday. I still had 2 hours left of my shift. And I was telling Christian, we were working together at the time, and I was like, I'm so hungry. He's like, dude, me too. We didn't have any food in the back. There weren't any leftover baked goods. Their pastries were sold out. I couldn't even buy one, right? We were out of toast. Like, it was right.
Uber Eats did not exist.
Yeah. I mean, clearly I'm hurting for food, right? Like, and so I was like, oh man, I'm so hungry. And in walks manna from heaven, a Jimmy John's marketing person who had this, no joke.
What?
There isn't even a Jimmy John's in that area of Granville.
No, there's not.
She walks in, she has a bag full of sandwiches. And she says, hey, we're just going to different businesses handing out free sandwiches today.
Oh my gosh.
Do you guys want a free sub and a coupon for money off your next sub? And I was like, are you serious right now?
And Are you an angel of the Lord?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. No, for real. Like, I was like,
are you real?
Yes. She goes, here, have another one too. She gave me 2 subs. Not just one. I wanted like half a sandwich.
Yeah. You would have been good. Yeah.
And she hands me 2 subs. And Christian and I went to the back. We had 2 people switch out with us. We went to the back and I legitimately cried. I was like, dude, do you realize that like that right there, this little small innocuous moment, not to over spiritualize this, but like that truly, I was like, this is God's provision, man. Like, yeah. Jimmy John's sandwich, there's my youth group sermon, but for real, it's in those moments. It's in last year. Here we go. Here's a mountaintop versus, so the day after you shot our show at Festival of the Arts was my grandmother's funeral.
Wow.
Which I had the honor of eulogizing her. 2 months before then, so April, we're coming up on a year. I got an email one night. I was sitting in my office, my coffee job. Got an email from Bon Jovi's touring company asking the American Hotel System to open for Bon Jovi in Indianapolis 5 days from then. Biggest show of my life. 5 days to prep. And I had forgotten they'd had like bands open submissions for opening bands in like December and January. So I totally forgot about this, right? There were thousands of videos, and I went, this will never happen. Right. And I did it. Shout out to Christian's Aunt Kim for tagging us in like WGRD article.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And we went and we did it. It was incredible. Like 20,000 people there, which that's an experience I think every musician dreams of. And very few have ever had the privilege of experiencing. The most normal part of that day were the 18 and a half minutes we played our own songs. Everything else about that day was just so unreal and so out of the ordinary, right? Like, you know, we arrive, we pull up, they have the little Gainbridge Fieldhouse is right in the middle of downtown Indianapolis. And so their load-in bay is underneath, it's underground. So we pull up to the bay. There's, 3 layers of security. We pull up in like a Durango and a minivan. And they're like, who are you? And I'm like, we're the opening band. I like the email printed off to show them. And they're like, hold on a second. They like radio back. We got 2 people saying there. We got 2 vehicles saying they're in the opening band. What's your guys' name? Like the American Hotel System. I'm like, this is the moment. They're going to be like, psych, we went with somebody else. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, bring them on through. We go down there. The Live Nation rep is like waiting for us, and like the road manager's there, and I'm like, oh, this is really happening. We walked out on the stage to put our gear up there, and I was like, oh boy, I've been backstage at Van Andel before, and I thought that was huge. Oh no, Gainbridge Fieldhouse is like twice the size. It was, I mean, my stomach, like I feel anxious. Like thinking about for real. Like, I rarely get stage anxiety, but that was when I went, oh, okay. Amazing experience. All of our families were there. Samuel had actually gone to North Carolina to visit his family the day before. And so him and his parents flew back up to Indianapolis. That was their first show.
Wow.
They never saw us before. Jocko, Jake Lamont, our bass player, his family was already going there. They already had tickets.
What? That's so amazing.
And he's like, oh, I'll be at the Bon Jovi show. They're like, oh, cool. He's like, yeah, I'm playing. And they had never seen us either.
Surprise.
Yeah. My family went, my family and Christian's family, I should be saying CT. That's his stage name. CT McCandless.
CT McCandless.
Yeah, life in the CT, baby.
Yep.
Anyway, I should do like a Christian post. Like,
he's our next episode.
Yeah.
I
love that guy. Met him working in coffee too, and I was like, man, he's way cooler than me. He's covered in tattoos, and I'm really intimidated by him. And then he opened his mouth, and I went, oh, so you're just a huge goofball.
Yeah.
Okay,
big
cool.
Old nerd.
We're gonna be friends.
Yeah.
So my family was there. Our family's got a suite together. And my grandma was there. My grandpa was there. My wife was 9 months pregnant. She was there, waddling up the ramp. And 9 days after that, Haley and I happened to be in my grandparents' neighborhood, and we stopped by randomly, visited with them for like 4 hours. I hadn't seen him since the show. It was a great time. I got a call the next morning from my mom. She's like, Jacob, your grandpa just called me and he thinks Nana just died. I was like, whoa. What? Wait, why? How? What? She had aneurysm. Freak thing, right? Like, wasn't sick, nothing like that. Yeah. Almost gone instantaneously. They were driving down the road. He asked her a question. She didn't make any noise. He turned and she was gone.
That's insane.
Oh, dude. Like, what? Yeah. And my grandma, she was very flamboyant and very big personality. Short little lady, but made up for it in personality. And my grandpa went to a gas station and ran inside and got help. And they shut down a whole freaking gas station for her. And the police were there and the firemen were there. And I was like, yeah, this is the way she would want to go out, man. They shut down a whole gas station just for you. And it sounds like dark humor, but no, she was, I was like, this is the way, man. And that was devastating. I was like, what? My son is due in like 2 weeks. Mm. What? This isn't, but like, the last thing she ever said to me was, I'm just so excited to meet that baby.
Man.
And what? This is so wrong, right? This is injustice. What? Why? Why not just one more week? Why not just 2 more weeks? Why not just a month? Right? That's not my plan.
Right.
My aunt and uncle flew up for Virginia. We had a little visitation. We didn't know when to do the funeral. This was April 28th. We didn't know when to do the funeral because my son was due. We didn't want to like schedule the funeral and then
Yeah.
Hey, Ashley's in labor. Sorry, everybody. And so we had a visitation, and we were just gonna say, let's do June 5. We'll see.
That's my birthday.
Hey, there you go. So aunt and uncle were flying back the next morning. We had dinner, great time with them. My wife was at work. I come home. She's playing Mass Effect. It was Dragon Age. She was playing Dragon Age, laying on a towel. She was like back in her chair. She had a towel underneath her, and I was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's up?" It's like 10 o'clock at night. And she said, "Yeah, I'm like 80% sure my water just broke." What? She's like, "Yeah, but I'm supposed to lay here for 20 minutes and figure it out." Oh, no, it definitely did. And I was like, oh, okay. I've read all the books, right? Like, yeah. I mean, we found out she was pregnant, and like, we went to the first ultrasound, and I had already read 3 books, right? I was like, I'm ready. Like, I know all this stuff. Actually, we went to the ultrasound, and they're like, "Oh, look, there's this little brain, and there's their little hands." And I was like, "Those aren't supposed to be there yet." She was actually like 12 weeks, and she had no idea. So we thought it was 6, you know? So we were like, "Oh, yeah, there's an extra month and a half. That's cool." I was like, "There's not supposed to be a brain there yet." Anyway, and so she's like, "All right, well," I said, "What are we going to do?" She's like, "Well, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to go and get a bag, and, you know, we'll get our stuff ready. We'll call my parents." And I was like, "Are we going to go to the hospital?" She said, "Yeah, we're going to the hospital." I said, "When are we going to the hospital?" She said, "After I get my stuff ready." I said, "When are we getting ready?" She said, "Right now." I said, "Oh, okay. You're going to go upstairs and get your bag?" She said, "Yes. And we're going to call your family." "Yes." And my mom's like standing there like so excited. And so Ashley gets up, and she's just taking her time walking up the stairs. And I'm looking at my mom, and my mom's like calling somebody. And I said, "Oh, yeah, everybody stop. Stop. What is happening right now? What is happening?" And I lost it. And Ashley's like, "We're going to go upstairs, get our bags, get ready, call my family." I said, "And then we're going to the hospital." She said, "Yes." I said, "Are we going to have the baby tonight?" And she was like, "I'm in labor, so."
Probably. Your brain's just not logical at all. Just
she's
coaching you.
Dude, I lost all sense of anything. And we went, he was born the next day, 5 days after my grandmother died. 2 weeks to the day after the Bon Jovi show.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, what a whirlwind.
Yep.
And it's just kind of been nonstop. It's been 11 months. It's been, he's amazing. Theodore is his name. And whole new reason to do everything I do.
Right.
That's wild.
That's super cool.
With the band. And yeah.
Dude. Well, it's so wild. And even just that, I love that, because I think a lot of people might look at seasons of life and be like, "Oh, I'm in a really good season," or "Oh, I'm in a really dry season," which do exist. But I think oftentimes it's an ebb and flow. Like those two things can collide and happen simultaneously.
Well, yeah, and like what you were saying about spiritual highs and stuff, like we've been talking a lot about quiet steadfastness. That's kind of the phrase.
John Mark.
Yeah. It's John Mark Comer, man.
Yeah. And that's not, when you think of Western Christianity, you don't think of those words. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You think of CCM, you think of like big smoke shows and like Anthem, rock and roll, and there's mixed feelings about all that anyways. Yeah. And you know, being from those backgrounds and stuff, but the Spirit of God and what the way of Jesus really is that day in, day out experience with him. And people often look at you guys opening for Bon Jovi and they're like, "Oh, that's crazy. Like Jacob's life must be insane." Yeah. He's just, you know, it's like you have no idea. Yeah. Like life is so complicated, and we like to sum it up on like these highs, like by these mountaintops or these lows,
or even compartmentalize it and have this is its box, this is its box. Here's my God box.
Yeah, like, Haley saw somebody from school that we went to school with, and they were like, "Oh, you're shopping at Aldi? Why? You guys opened for Bon Jovi. Didn't you sign with a record label recently?" And we're like, "Yeah." We're still musicians.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think this means?
Still have
like,
bills.
Yeah.
Like we're still
this
human.
Making ends meet.
Yeah, it's not these. I don't think life is. I don't think it's compartmentalized. I don't think it's like, wow, that person has an amazing life. You know,
Or have it all together. Like
No.
that's the thing. Is like the second, like we talk about that. Like the second, and this is like almost like a PSA to everyone listening. Like the second that Nate and I or whoever is like pretending that we have it all together, like we don't. Like, and if you guys have listened to past episodes and have thought that, like, newsflash, like we're broken human beings too, and we don't ever want to pretend or come off like that.
Yeah,
because that's not the reality. The reality is no one has it all together.
no.
And if they act like they do, they really don't.
If you look at all the, celebrity, for example, you look at anybody who has a certain level of celebrity, right? And all the, wow, their life must be amazing. Look, they have tons of money, tons of stuff, tons of fame, and look at how many high profile people we've lost to suicide, we've lost to drug addiction, whatever it might be, alcoholism. People, they turn to different things because at the end of the day, I don't think life is about those things, right? Fulfillment, finding fulfillment. I think to wrap it back to longing. Right? This is Matt Hurd, by the way. I don't know if you guys know Matt Hurd. So great book, Life with a capital L. Right? Talks about there's suke, bios, and zoe. Right? Those are the three different forms of life that we see in the New Testament. You got bios, that's like blood pumping, right? Suke, like the air I'm breathing. But zoe, that's where the name Zoe comes from. Zoe is like, that's life with a capital L, right? That's holistic life. When Jesus says, I came to, give life, that's Zoe he uses, right? True life, life that is truly life, that's Zoe life, right?
Life to the full.
Exactly, exactly. And what are the longings in your heart? What longing are you trying to fulfill from the different things you're pursuing? So if you're pursuing fame, fortune, whatever, well, what's the longing you're trying to fulfill? Admiration? I don't know. But everything we do is that. And I think that that's fulfillment comes from being tapped into the part of your life you were designed for, right? The portions. My mother is an RN, but her calling is to care for people, right? Yep. Vocation is, I think, not the same as calling. You can fulfill both of those together, right? But it's definitely not the same. And I think that I grew up in a church there was a church, an aspect of that was, you have to find your calling. You have to find it.
This is the ultimate.
And if you don't, you're going to shipwreck your faith.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Right? Oh, man. Well, the anxiety that causes.
And pressure.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And someone like me who I'm like, I have to go. Like, and
gotta figure it out.
What if I miss God's call on my life?
Exactly.
Yeah. What if I'm outside of his will?
What if I do? What if I don't find the one? Man, if it was up to that, we would be so far off. A decision somebody made a few thousand years ago and the butterfly effect and everything. And you step back and go, oh, reading John Mark Comer, reading Walter Brueggemann.
I haven't read him.
Sabbath as Resistance.
Ooh.
Oh,
that might be my next read.
Yo, do it. It's pretty small.
Okay.
It's very short. Right. John Mark Comer references
is resistance.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Sabbath as resistance.
Oh, as resistance.
Yeah.
Sick.
I'm really bad
resistance against like busyness.
Resistance against life. Resistance against struggle. Yeah.
Life, not the capital L life. Because I was wondering resistance as in the resistance framework in like the War of Art. So I was interested.
Oh,
so I was like different type. Interesting.
That is a different form of resistance. When I read War of Art, I had read Walter Brueggemann first. So I was like, oh yeah, resist. Like, yeah, but wait, he's talking about in War of Art.
Negative, yeah.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, different kind of resistance.
Yeah. That's why I was confused.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's also a great book. War of Art. Yeah.
Sabbath is hard.
Sabbath is hard, especially if you work in ministry.
Preach it, dude.
Yeah. You work in ministry? Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, you don't have Sunday off? No,
Nope.
It's when I work.
Yep.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Building in margin into your life.
Yeah.
That's
and just,
important.
Like, we talk about this all the time, and mainly because I'm a John Mark nut and love Ruthless Elimination in a Hurry, but it's like I was just talking to my sister about this last night. She was taking me home from the airport, but it's like trying to create that space, like no screen time. Like for me, I try to make that Saturdays because I'm often like playing at church on a Sunday morning and helping out with youth group. So it's like make Saturday my Sabbath. Try not to check emails or whatever, and even just shut your phone off. Like to do that for the waking hours of a single day is so freaking difficult,
especially in media production.
Yeah, because that's life. And it's like, again, I think it's kind of that trust in God to be like, if someone really needs to get a hold of me, they can. Like I can communicate to people what I'm doing like beforehand to mitigate that. But like it's gonna be okay. Like the earth is still gonna keep spinning.
Even
like,
if they can't get a hold of you, it'll be okay if they talk to you tomorrow.
Exactly.
Even if there's an emergency.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. Well, and a lot of times, like John Mark talks about Sabbath in being with his family. So like he's with all of the people that are the most important to him, like the entire day. So you know what I mean? Like
it's not solitude necessarily.
Yeah.
Which is a different discipline altogether.
Exactly.
You know, silence and solitude is also necessary in certain amounts.
Well, that when Jesus went to the quiet place,
yeah,
we think of it says desert.
Mm-hmm.
That means quiet place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. So it's not. He didn't go to a sandy.
Isn't that like a brownie or something after you eat a meal? Oh, that's dessert.
But it's so he could, have communion with the Father and be sustained in the quiet, have rest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, right?
Yep.
And having, I think that's what I find really beautiful about coffee.
Yes, same.
Is the fact that it causes you to unwind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to slow down, especially pour overs, right? Doing a Chemex that demands
time,
attention. It demands detail.
I always say, like, I love the process of making it more so than drinking it. Like I don't drink it to like get a caffeine rush. No. I drink it because I love the that's why I'm excited to get into espresso too, because that's another process like altogether. But having the ritual, like not to make it like something other spiritual or whatever, but it's just doing something with my hands too, like that physical, and like
beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, that's craft.
Yes, exactly.
It's art and science.
It's craft.
It's the intersection of art and science. That is craft.
Yeah.
Get ready to like have caffeine buzzes like no other once you start getting into making your own espresso, because you got to try it all, and it's man,
dialing in.
Yeah.
It's I always tell people, because espresso has less caffeine.
Yes.
Than
I
a black
just
cup
recently
of coffee.
found that out from James's video.
Oh yeah. Well, then when you think about it, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yes.
Because there's physically less coffee. Higher extraction.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to drink 12 ounces of espresso, I mean, like this is probably 2%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 98% water.
Yep.
Right. Which is why if you don't have good water, 98% of what you're drinking is like, come on.
Trash.
But then espresso extractions are like 18 to 20%.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot higher. So there's more stuff. There's more soluble material inside of it.
Yeah.
But dialing in, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's you're not meant to ingest that much.
I used to work at a coffee bar, and like, when you're starting, you're like, I gotta taste all this because I don't know. And then eventually, like, I could smell the coffee and how if it smelled sweet, and I could see it, and I was like, that's good. I'm like, I don't have to taste this.
My rule was the first shot in the morning is not going to taste good.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that coffee's been sitting there, and so I would always do a shot to run through, and then I'd actually do my dial shot.
Sure.
Little sip. You get good enough that you can evaluate on one sip. And
it takes trying until you're at that point.
It takes the hours of hurting your stomach and having
especially when you don't have breakfast.
Oh yeah. And coffee. If you work in coffee, you're at the shop. If you're opening,
super early.
Oh, it's like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop and eat breakfast.
It was time for that.
I want all my time in my bed as possible.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
But it's good. It causes you to slow down, and it's a communal thing.
Yeah.
And you can have great conversations. And with that, I think this is my last sip.
Dude,
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Sheesh.
I just want to end with this thought. I think of Philippians 4:13. Like, I can do all things. It's Philippians, right?
I think so.
I feel like I'm misquoting it, but you know, like it's always misquoted in the wrong way, wrong context, but I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That sentiment of Paul talking about the highs and the lows, not talking about I'm going to have supernatural power to do what I want because God gives it to me. I just see that all over your life, man. And it's an inspiration to me in my life.
Thank you.
And I am sure that people listening are going to take that from you as well.
That's what I was going to say.
I appreciate that.
Just like the power of a testimony.
Yeah.
Like the power of a story, like Jesus talks about that in scripture, you know?
And I know it's like, you know that God is using your story to impact other people and like wondering like, what is that? You know, I need to find my calling and what those things, but just being and letting God do that work and let him use your story to impact other people is oftentimes much more effective than us actually achieving.
Yeah.
And
I said
I know
earlier,
you know that.
Yeah.
But I'm witnessing it.
I'm
witnessing it.
Yeah. You know, I'm a big reader, and in that, when I hit my head, I hated reading. Another thing, I hated coffee, hated reading. What I just say is spend most of my money on coffee and books. I woke up one morning with this just insatiable appetite to read a book, and I picked up a book, and I'm convinced that through doing cognitive behavioral therapy in recovery from my injury, my brain rewired itself to somehow speed read. So I found out I could speed read.
Wow.
So that's a huge thing for me. So I track all my books. A few years ago, 2 years ago, in the time I started tracking my books, I was approaching my 1,000th book that I had read in that. Like, it was like 4 or 5 year time span.
Sheesh, bro.
I was approaching my 1,000th book, and I was like, this 1,000th book has got to be, you know, I'm going to make a video essay about like what I learned from reading 1,000 books. I never did that. It was actually a book. I chose this very intentionally. It was a book called How Your Story Sets You Free. It's a very small inspirational book. It's by the Million Persons Project, I think they're called.
Okay.
Could be wrong. But the whole thesis is that every single person on this earth has a story that needs to be heard.
That's valuable.
Whether it's an audience of one or an audience of 1 million. Every single person has a story that is meant to impact somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, that's what I try to capture with the band. That's what I try to capture in our recordings, but really our live show. That's my goal, is to share, you know, we have pretty curated segues between our shows, but between our songs and our set, but I have tried to intentionally pick the things I say because I go to a show to take something away that I can remember and have an impact on. That's what I long for when I go to a show. And my prayer every time before we go on a stage, we pray and we say, you know, I pray that I would say what I'm supposed to say, what you want me to say, and that just one person out there would hear what you want them to hear. My youth pastor always prayed that prayer before he would preach, that I would say what you want me to say and that they would hear what you want them to hear. And that really stuck with me. We had a really rough show last week. Really rough. It was rough. One of the roughest we've had, maybe ever.
Just
top 3.
Technical or?
Oh, everything.
Man.
Yeah,
Dang.
everything. And that's very humbling, by the way.
Sure.
You know, you go from playing like a sold out album release show or a sold out whatever when you're the headliner and whatever.
Opening
and
for Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah, right. And you're all like, yeah, we're awesome.
Yeah.
And then you go and you're like, oh, that's right.
I'm a human.
This is who we are.
It was just rough, but we were going, man, we shouldn't have said yes to this. You know, like you have those doubtful moments that come in, which I think that's resistance, war of our resistance, right? That's when you know you're onto something. I think you go, oh, okay, I need to talk about this. This needs to happen. One person came up after that show. She was one of the only people there, and she like picked up on something I forgot I said. I wasn't planning on saying it, but she was like, oh man, I really need to hear that.
Wow.
I was like,
Sweet.
oh my goodness. How quickly I fall into the ego of I'm better than this, man. Like this is so like, whoa, this is below us.
I should be here.
Yeah.
There's some souls there, like listening to you.
Human souls, man. These are people. And you know what? I've never been in an audience and gone, man, I wonder what the head count is tonight. No.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
Jason John Evans has a book called The 4D Songwriter. And he talks about that. He's like, it doesn't matter how big your audience. Have you ever been in a crowd and cared about the size of the audience? No.
Yeah.
You don't go, I wonder how many ticket sales they had and what their margin is to take home tonight. No.
Mm-hmm.
It's the experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you guys saying that. That's my goal is to take the experiences I have had so far in life and share those and go, you know what? God is good. He's faithful. And I just hope that if one person could take something away from that they would, and I can be used for that.
Well, your posture is contagious.
It is.
And that's what this podcast is about. And I'm overjoyed to hear your story, and I'm sure our listeners will be too.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
Jacob, for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been an honor.
We definitely need a take two someday.
We'll take two, and we'll get both you and Christian on here pretty soon.
Band episode.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you again so much to Steven at Quickwater Coffee. We were not drinking the Quickwater coffee today, but only because Jacob brought. What did you bring today? We can talk about that.
Yeah,
it's okay.
So you reach that level of like obsession. The first steps you take, and anybody listening, if you want to get more into coffee, there's some key steps you can take to make giant leaps.
Yes.
Getting a burr grinder.
Good grinder.
Grinding your own coffee. Buying coffee that has a roast date on it.
Yes.
Right? Simple things. Those will take you leaps and bounds ahead of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be drinking top 2% coffee in the world automatically.
Yep.
Better than 98% of what most people have. Then everything else is a little adjustment, right?
Yeah.
To the point now where I have my own water. Like I have my own water that's formulated for coffee. That's ridiculous and obsessive and kind of neurotic, right? Like
I'll be there shortly.
But that's me. Yeah, that's me, right? That's the deep dive. I now have a subscription where I have a scale, and it's called Bottomless, and the scale senses when I'm going to run out of coffee.
Ooh, yeah.
It predicts based on how quickly I'm using it.
Yeah.
So they send me a new bag, and it's a blind bag. I don't know what I'm getting. I have a taste profile. So we drank a anaerobic process Costa Rica from Windmill Coffee Roasters in Iowa today.
Sweet.
So anaerobic process is hot right now in the coffee industry. Are you familiar with that at all?
I'm not, no.
So there's different processing methods. You have wash, which is where they wash the cherry because coffee is a fruit.
I just read about all the different types.
Coffee is a fruit. So they have to wash the cherry off. There's natural process where they or dry process if you're in South America. It's called dry. Same thing.
Yep.
Dry process where they let the cherry dry around the fruit first, and then they depulp it. There's honey process, which is not done with honey. They take the fruit off, but they leave the mucilage on. That creates
silver skin.
It's silver. Yep. And that ferments. And then anaerobic is done in water tanks with no oxygen. And it ferments in there. Coffee is a fermented product. All coffee is fermented. So anaerobic process, lots of crazy. This kind of had like a white grapey thing going on to it, to my palate. It has those kinds of like red fruit things going on. There's sometimes some like cinnamon spicy notes to the anaerobic process things. Anyway, delicious. Really delicious.
Really good sweetness to it.
Yeah.
It was super good.
Yeah. It was super drinkable. There was nothing offensive about it. Really delicate. It was a very delicate coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. I could do this as a daily driver.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. I hadn't had it as a pour over yet. I'd only had it as espresso.
Oh, let's go.
So I appreciate that.
I love it. Well, I did my job well.
Yes. You guys inspire me to be more coffee nerdy. So, yeah, thanks for that too. But yeah, I don't know how long this episode is. I don't really
probably
care.
a long one. I talk a lot.
Thank you again so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh, at Local Legend Recording for letting us record in your lobby, as always. Am I missing anything? Hey, good luck on the bibliography on this one.
I'm here for it. I'm going to try to cut this and turn it around in 3 days.
Yeah. I'll send you any links you need, man.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Amazing. Well, yeah. Thanks again, guys. Thank you guys for listening, joining us on this journey with us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Amazing.